What up there in YouTube land, Danny from Geekcast Radio, doing another comic book haul video. This is where I go through my recent pickups, let you know what I'll be reading. I don't do any deep dives, not really reviews on these, as most of these books I've not read yet. Fortunately, coming out a little bit later than I would like. I didn't get to the comic book store till later this week. And with that, I didn't get some things I wanted. Most of the comics I got, but I was looking for some specific covers, and I had to kind of settle with what was there. But it is an enormous week this week, the biggest week of the year for me so far by far. Probably the best week for me this year. Actually, weirdly enough, 4 out of my top 5 books all came out this week. So a lot of great stuff to read, and some stuff I'm really excited about. Some stuff I am a little iffy about. We'll see where it goes. But I thought I would kind of go through these in range of excitement and explain what I'm least excited about and then what I'm the most excited about. So I'm starting off with a book that I kind of just am getting at this point because it's too late to kind of stop, and that's Venom First for Host number 4. I would say this series has gotten better with each progressing issue, but it just hasn't really interested me all that much. It's an interesting idea, I guess. It somewhat connects to what Donny Cates has been doing with Venom, but I think it ties more to the series beforehand, which I didn't really enjoy. I only read a few issues of it and gave up on. So it just seems okay, but at this point, I'm just going to go with it because it only has one more issue left. A book I just don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm hesitant on it. I feel like this return has been going on for over a year now. We've returned to the Wolverine number 1 coming out. We've had Hunt for Wolverine. Now he's finally returning after he died. We'll see. I like Charles Soule. I don't always love his Marvel stuff. I tend to like his indie stuff like Curse Words a lot more. This does have Steve McNiven art in it, so it's going to be one of the last major things that he does, so I'm excited to see kind of that, because I know that's becoming less and less, and I think Delkin Shelby is taking over a little bit. I also heard the rumors about like the new powers he's getting, and it's not like I ever thought, what Wolverine needs more of? Powers. That's what's going to make him more of an interesting character. So I don't know. I'm hesitant. We'll see where it goes. I just picked up the first issue. Depending on it, I might stick with it. I might not. We'll go from there. A book I enjoy. I feel like I'm the only one that's talking about it or reading it, but it's a fun, cool, all-ages book by John Allison, who's the writer of Giant Days. That's by night. It's a good book. It's not necessarily to the level of Giant Days, but it's been a good read that, for some reason, it's all under the radar for, I think, a lot of people, even Giant Days fans, maybe because of the boombox labeling. But it's been a solid story about these kind of otherworldly adventures, maybe because it's not so tied to reality like Giant Days is, which is more of a dramatic comedy about people in college. But I think if you enjoy that, if you enjoy most of the boombox stuff, you will enjoy Giant Days for sure. So boombox usually puts out good stuff. It's not all of it obviously is for all ages. Sometimes it's more kid friendly, but usually their stuff, I think it hits pretty strong. Boom probably has the best consistent kids comics out there out of all the other publishers. Like IDW tends to, I feel like, go really hard into the licensed properties, which Boom has, but I think they're more original titles like that and Ruin World are good examples of solid new age books. Another book I don't know, we'll see how it goes, is Dick Tracy. Speaking of IDW, number 1. I was hoping to get the Mike Allred cover. It's like one of the biggest reasons I got this, and I thought Mike Allred, and I saw this listed, I thought Mike Allred was also drawing this, but he's not. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know a huge amount about Dick Tracy, to be honest with you. I have not read a lot of Dick Tracy stuff. I watched the movie way back when. I don't remember much about it, just except everyone looked really weird. And I read certain comic strips when they were in the newspaper at times, because I did love reading comic strips at the time. So I thought I'd give it a shot, see how it goes. It does have the Allred stamp on it, even though they're not drawing it. I think Mike Allred is. Lee and Mike Allred are writing with colors by Mike Allred. Inks by Mike Allred and colors by Lee Allred. So it does have that Allred feel, and I do enjoy their art. So it does look like it does have that combination of old school and new school that will fit well. So we'll see how it goes. I don't love that cover. It just seems a little too, I don't know, basic. It looks like it's just missing something, but We'll go. I just picked the first issue up, and I didn't pull it yet because, I don't know. It's hard to say because if it's welcoming to new readers, if Dick Tracy's a character that you can really go with, but we'll see. Avengers is a book that is, to me, getting better. It's still not to the level of what I was hoping for with Jason Aaron in the Avengers. I think the last issue, number 7, was probably one of the best. It was the backstory of the Ghost Rider, the first ever Ghost Rider, and that was kind of cool. And I'm guessing that might be kind of where they go. It also had solid art, and I think this is actually drawn by David Marquez, who's, if I am correct, David Marquez, who's a fantastic artist. I'm glad he's doing another major book. I think the last thing I saw him do in Marvel was Defenders, and that was fantastic. So I kind of wish he was the main artist. I like Ed McGuinness stuff, but I don't think it really has the feel necessary that his does. So excited to see where this goes. Looks like they're unleashing the new base for the Avengers, so that's kind of cool. These characters are somewhat coming together, so we'll see. I'm hoping it kind of lasts. There's a lot of the breadcrumbs there that you'd expect for a Jason Aaron book, but I just had high expectations that this would be like the Avengers finally feeling like the Avengers again, and it just hasn't quite gotten there yet. Probably the book that has been most talked about this week already is Batman Damned. I fortunately had to get the Jim Lee cover. It's not a bad cover to me. It's just okay. And this is getting a lot of press for a lot of different reasons. You can make your jokes now, but it's an oversized format. It's the first official Black Label book that they are doing, which is kind of cool. You can see the prestige format, oversized magazine size, and of course they're talking about it because it's mature. And if you've been alive, you know why. Especially apparently all of Batman is shown in this, but I'm just more curious to see like how the actual story goes. Brian Azzarello taking over Batman's story. The premise of it is that as a Back says, the Joker is dead, and a detective story. And with that cover, I don't know if there's any sort of mystic element behind it, but it would seem so. That's a hint that there might be. But I don't know. I didn't pull this yet. I just picked up the first issue because I didn't know if it actually would kind of follow through. If this is all going to be all hype or all about just the format and the story itself will be lacking. We'll see. But it could be great. It could be great. I'm glad. I am really happy that DC is trying to experiment with different formats, breaking from the norm. The big two don't tend to do that. Marvel barely can get paper right nowadays, let alone get the actual larger format done correctly. So hopefully it starts something new. We see more of it. That'd be great. I don't know exactly how I'm going to store that book or where I'm going to put it because it's obviously not going to fit in your normal long or short box. But hey, we'll figure it out. A book I'm just not sure about because it's an annual, which is Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 1 or Annual number 47 by Legacy standpoint. This is written by Saladin Ahmed, who I am a rather big fan of. I loved Abbott this year. His Exiles run has been really fun. But he's taking on Spider-Man for an issue, and also been announced that he'll be writing Miles Morales Spider-Man coming in, I think, November or December. So it's kind of him writing Peter Parker and then going into the actual Miles, which will be great. I'm glad that character is still moving forward. So I think it'll give a good idea of how he writes a character like Spider-Man. But with an annual, you never know what it's going to be, which is kind of great. Sometimes annuals are really forgettable. Sometimes they're standout stories. This is supposed to be Spider-Man with his black suit, things that were happening without him knowing. So that could be great. It also could just be kind of weird. We'll see. I do see that it does not really have the dialogue I would expect for someone like Saladin Ahmed, but at least compared to his Exiles run. Another annual that's coming out, again, it's hard to say with annuals because different creative team. This is Captain America Annual number 1. This is Tina Howard and Chris Sprouse, who I'll be honest with you, I'm not super familiar with, and I don't really know anything else about this except for I think it takes place during World War II, and I'm all for Captain America's story taking place during World War II. So that's great to see. I do enjoy annuals because I love the idea of just being able to tell a story that's not connected to anything. You can kind of have the freedom that you want. You don't have to worry about whether big events are going on or the overall arching arc in the regular series. I like it when annuals are like that rather than just being an extended, oversized issue of the regular comic. And at least with these two, that seems to be the case, where they're not connected to the main story. They're their own thing, especially with being new creative teams. The second issue of West Coast Avengers is out. I thought the first issue was a lot of fun. Kelly Thompson taking over this title, very much in line with her run on Kate Bishop Hawkeye, and now with some new characters, and Brodok, who's been revealed at the end of the first issue. We also see a gigantic Tyra, so some kind of connection to the past. The one element I wasn't the hugest fan of the first issue was like they're doing this reality show documentary with this new team. But I do like the combination of characters, and even characters like Gwenpool that I've never really cared about. I thought was written in a fun way, and their interaction was pretty solid. It is very comedic heavy, and I think I can kind of see why though, because if you're going to do another Avengers book, you kind of want it to seem like it's much different than the other Avengers books. Sometimes when they have a lot of the same books, like I think that's the problem with the X-Men titles for the most part right now, is that they're indistinguishable between one another stylistically. Like they all seem the same. Yeah, the characters are different, but I can't, they don't seem like they have their own identity. But with this, you can at least really differentiate between Avengers and West Coast Avengers. This book I'm really excited to see come back, Thor #5, because this is where we get Christian Ward's coming back to do the art, because this is doing the God Thor, King Thor storyline that was hinted at in issue #1. So I just love his art, and I do like how his art and Del Mundo's art kind of do flow together. They're very different, but at least color-wise, they do have some similarities. And the one issue I was having with this Thor run, this Thor relaunch, was that it seemed a little bit forcefully comedic, almost as if it was just saying, like, okay, well, Ragnarok was really funny, so people picking up Thor would expect a funny book. I'm hoping with the King Thor storyline we won't necessarily get that, but we'll see. Because I do know that a major character was revealed at the end of issue #1, which I guess is not a spoiler, but it was this Wolverine Phoenix. Which is kind of the thing right now in Marvel. It's like, let's combine all these different characters together and make them into something. Sometimes it works, like with Cosmic Ghost Rider. Will it work here? We'll see. From Image, I have Death and Glory. This is issue, I think, 4 or 5, issue #5. Rick Remender and Ben Gall. Last issue was a lot of fun. I thought this title was it was going along, it was good, but last issue had this fantastic car chase sequence where it's like, okay, this is why Remender chose Ben Gall for this book, because this is him being unleashed, and it was a fantastic sequence. It's been a fun story. It's fun's a wrong word to use. It's been a twisted story that started off as kind of a basic, like, this seemed a little bit different for Remender, and as his Remender-nisms, or whatever you want to say, are starting to poke through more and more. But this has been a really solid, good book. Not to me to the level of Remender's best stuff, but I think at least art-wise up there. Story-wise, it's been good, but not as evolving as something like Deadly Class, which I think is one of the best books in the last 5 years. Another book I'm really loving, at least loved issue #1, which was Black Badge, and issue #2 is now out. This is from Matt Kent, Tyler Jenkins, and Hillary Jenkins. This is a story of a Black Ops Boy Scouts group, and it sounds kind of weird, and maybe it is, but I find it to be quite good. I love Matt Kent as a writer. I loved his and Tyler Jenkins' Grass Kings. It was a fantastic book. Has a similar feel to that book, but I do think the colors of Hillary Jenkins, who's coloring this, Tyler Jenkins colored his own stuff in Grass Kings, which gave it a little bit more of a watercolor look than this has. I think it makes it a little bit more approachable. This is too kind of more, at least the first issue was more, it's not kid friendly, but certainly more all ages. Anyone I think 12 and up would probably enjoy it. So that may change with issue #2, but this has been quite good. So if you enjoyed Grass Kings, or you enjoyed most of Matt Kent's stuff, or even like Jeff Lemire, because their styles seem to be a little similar, definitely advise picking that up. Another book I've been really loving is Multiple Man. Multiple Man #4 is out. This is a 5-issue miniseries, so I think there's only one more issue left. And I do think this is going to tie a lot into Old Uncanny X-Men that's coming back, based upon some of the solicits that have come out. This is Matthew Rosenberg and Andy McDonald on art. And this, it's just Matt Rosenberg kind of looking at the insanity that is the X-Men world and saying, you know what, I'm going to just turn into that and make it as insane and quirky and fun and comedic as possible. It does have tonally some similarities to like what Peter David did, but definitely Matt Rosenberg's own style, dealing a lot with time travel and different universes and dimensions, and it doesn't hide the fact that like X-Men are just strange and weird and often make no sense, and it's like, okay, let's not hide that fact, and then have basically multiple men from different dimensions with different powers, and again taking like a multiple man that has the power of Deadpool and Hulk and Doctor Strange and putting them all into one book. So Oddly though, it is kind of welcoming to new readers a little bit. I would, but this has been a fantastic series. One more issue left. Highly advise picking that up. One of the biggest books that's going on right now too has been Venom. Venom number 6 is out. A lot of people loving this book. Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman have been killing it. They're making Venom into a huge character, only for the movie to come in and hopefully not destroy that. But we'll see. Hopefully Venom is actually a good movie. I have my doubts, but it's been quite good. I enjoyed this a lot. Maybe not to the level of a lot of people. I think a lot of people are calling it the best book out right now. For me, it's not that level. It's close. It's in my top 5-6 books out. But the art has been tremendous. Stegman is like doing the work of his career right now, and him and Donny Cates just make a great team. Donny Cates is a writer that tends to create scenarios where artists can just go and have some amazing moments, and that's been the case so far with this book. And this is the end of this first arc, and I think after this a new artist is coming in for at least an issue or two. So I do wonder how it's going to change with a new artist, because the art has been driving this book so well. So as long as the artist stays good, we'll see. But Venom number 6, as a comparing this Venom story to Venom first host, you're like, oh, it's not a character that defines how good a book is. It's a creative team. So a character I could care less about in one book, and you give it to the right people, and that you can make me really enjoy it. To me, the best Marvel book out right now is Immortal Hulk number 6. This is a book I've actually already read, and I actually have a review up at Comic Crusaders. I just started doing reviews for them, written reviews. I'm getting back to doing that, and I'll put a link in the show notes where I can share my thoughts about this issue, and I may actually do a video of this as well. But I did, again, enjoy this series. This continues to be a fantastic take on the character of Hulk. I love the approach Al Ewing is using. This doesn't have Joe Bennett on the art. It actually has the Lee Gerbert as the artist, who is the artist currently on Skyward. And I think that was actually a great choice, because going through it at first, I didn't look at the actual title sequences not until the very end, and I didn't know until the end that I'm like, oh, this isn't Joe Bennett, because their styles aren't exact, but tonally they do fit really well. So, but it's been a fantastic series, and I know it's kind of like, oh, this is a horror take on the book, and I don't necessarily know if it's completely horror-ish, but it has those elements of it. A lot of characters show up in this. There is a lot revealed. I would say of all the issues so far, this is probably my least favorite of them, just because the bulk of this issue is kind of giving us a lot of backstory to things that have been going on in the background, and connecting a lot of the threads that seem to be disconnected are now kind of coming together. But the bookends in this, the beginning of it was fantastic, and the ending was great, and it leads to a really exciting issue for number 7. So that tends to be the pace with this book. The first, it's not really pushing the action when it doesn't need it, which I think is a strong choice for a Hulk book. That had to be a fight with editorial. They were like, no, we're not going to have huge smashing Hulk sequences issue to issue. We're going to pick our moments. So I'm glad they're kind of doing that. Like issue number 5 was a pretty big action sequence. It wasn't, with Sasquatch and the Hulk. So it makes sense to kind of take a step back, give some more context, give some more story, and then get into the Hulkness. But even when there has been action, it's not been. It's been more, again, it's been more disturbing. It's been violent, and not overly gory, but you just feel the pain. Like Hulk sometimes, is a character that is impervious, but here there's at least, even when he's getting hit or things that are happening, there's an element of suspense that you may not typically get in a Hulk battle. So I think that's what's really made this book such a great book. And then my last 2 books are, to me, the best comic books out there, at least when it comes to monthly titles or whatever you want to call it. Starting with Black Hammer number 5 issue. I'm really excited to read this, because issue number 4 had the biggest reveal of the series so far, which is why I'm not opening this right now, because I don't want to know anything or look at anything until I open it. But we found out a lot, and I don't want to spoil it, because I know a lot of people are reading this in trade, but kind of the secrets. There was a possible answer given of what was going on, so I'm curious. This is, to me, what this could make or break the book. I doubt it's going to break it. I have trust in Jeff Lemire, but this Black Hammer has been, since its release, like within my the best comic books, superhero wise or big 2 wise out. And then the book I'm looking forward to the most, the book I would probably say is my favorite book out right now, at least the book that I anticipate the most, is Mr. Miracle, with Mr. Miracle number 11, the next to last issue. So I don't expect to get a lot of answers, and I said that at the beginning reading the series. I know there's a lot of things we don't fully understand, and I have a good suspicion that a lot of these questions that people have are never going to be fully answered. Uh, so I think that's probably, I could see the last issue driving a lot of people crazy, because maybe we don't ever know what exactly is happening. Maybe we don't know why we have those screen effects like we do. I have a suspicion that may happen. But I always find the approach to these books fascinating. Obviously the 9-panel grid. Mitch Gerard is, he's deserving of the Eisner he won this past year, and I could see him getting another one for this book again, although they tend not to do that very often. But I just, I love picking up a book and being able to like dissect and have a lot going on. There's Venom to me is a fun action story. There's a lot of like history being built there. But when I look at stuff like Immortal Hulk or Black Hammer, or Mr. Miracle, there's layers to it that go beyond that a little bit that I find a little bit more satisfying as a reader. And it may not be everyone's cup of tea. Some people just want to enjoy that blockbuster-esque feel, which is fine. People read comics for different ways, but that's what I'm really anticipating this. Even if I've not loved every issue, I do know I'm going to read stuff and see approaches to comics that are just doing things no one else is attempting. And I got to give DC credit for doing that, because it seems like they have been giving their writers and creators more room with something like Mr. Miracle or something like the Batman Damned or Batman White Knight. Marvel I feel like is starting to do that. Giving Donny Cates a lot of room, giving them an opportunity to kind of try new things, at least story-wise. I just hope when it comes to format and things like that, they'll also allow that to happen, the next logical step and all that. But yeah, so huge haul for me this week. A lot of books. The biggest haul for me probably of the year. Hopefully the biggest one of the year. We'll see where things go. Some of these books I might stick with, some of them I may not. Return to Wolverine. Are you excited for the Return to Wolverine? Are you going to read that book? What are your thoughts on Batman Damned? Is it all hype? Have you read it yet? I'll hopefully share my thoughts on it when I finally actually get to read the book. And then, what else are you excited for this week? Excited for me for next week, I'll be going to Baltimore Comic-Con. That is my favorite weekend of the year. I go every year for the last 6 years or so. So we'll be talking about probably this on this channel, a podcast or two as well. And as I indicated, I'm also doing reviews now at Comic Crusaders. I have 2 reviews up right now, one for Immortal Hulk, one for Soldier Supreme, which is a fun little story as well. So you can check those out, and I'll be tweeting those. You can follow me on Twitter at MovieRevolt. Alrighty, a lot there. But just remember, ultimately, comics are for everyone. The key is finding the right one. Until next time, thank you so much for watching.